Hey there. I've stood at a crossroads that wasn't about love or career but about a startup idea. Should I dive into manufacturing or commerce? Maybe you've been there too, your head buzzing with questions, seeking advice from mentors, only to feel more confused. Some say, steer clear of manufacturing. Others argue, commerce is quick, but manufacturing builds lasting value. My entrepreneurial journey didn't start with polished business plans or sleek prototypes. It began with me hauling products on a beat-up scooter, delivering orders, unpacking shipments, and losing sleep over delayed batches or customer complaints. Those early days weren't about profits, they were about learning to choose the right path, even when no one handed me a map. This isn't just my story. It's the story of countless entrepreneurs facing that critical first decision, manufacturing or commerce, which offers the better shot at success. I won't promise a definitive answer, but I'll share what I've seen, screwed up, and learned, so you can find your own. When I started, I thought a great product would sell itself. I was dead wrong. I used to believe manufacturing was the noble route. Take my college buddy, Mike, a mechanical engineering grad who sank his savings and a hefty bank loan into a small metalworking shop in an industrial park. He poured his heart into every machine, sourcing materials from overseas and hiring a crew. Nights found him grease-stained but hopeful, dreaming of building a legacy. 3 years later, I saw him again. His shop was shuttered, buried under lawsuits, debts, and unpaid wages. "I don't regret the effort," he said. "I regret not starting with commerce to understand the market first. I built stuff no one wanted." His words stuck with me. I started noticing the hustlers in commerce. They didn't need factories or staff, just a knack for knowing customers, sourcing products, and pocketing the margin. Sounds simple, but it's a different kind of grind. Commerce has no borders, and the competition is fierce. My first import from China, a small batch of clothing, had me sweating over wrong sizes, color mix-ups, and customs headaches. But each shipment taught me how to segment customers, track inventory, and negotiate with picky wholesalers. Commerce isn't easier than manufacturing. It's just less capital-intensive, with fewer fixed assets and a faster way to learn market rhythms. Over lunch, a friend running an electronics distribution business, pulling in millions annually, gave me a gem. "Want to know what works? Ask someone who's failed. They'll tell you the raw truth." Successful commerce folks, I noticed, had a shared skill, anticipating customer needs before they're voiced. Successful manufacturers, on the other hand, had grit, an obsession with quality and innovation. If you're new, with no market experience or sales under your belt, commerce is the quickest, cheapest classroom for learning business survival skills. Understanding people. Take a brand like Nucor, the steel giant. Before dominating manufacturing, they started by distributing construction equipment. They sold, learned the market, captured share, and only then invested in production to cut costs and control quality. A regional manager I met once said, "We didn't build factories until we'd sold enough. We didn't expand until our distribution was locked in." It's a backward but effective rule. Starbucks followed a similar playbook. Howard Schultz didn't start with roasting plants. He began by importing and distributing coffee, then opened cafes to build the brand, and only later invested in production. If he jumped straight to factories without knowing what customers craved, Starbucks might still be a small Seattle roaster. Commerce lets you borrow others' hands to test the market without burning cash. Manufacturing is a bet on your ability to innovate and stay patient for long-term differentiation. But commerce isn't a free ride. I once got stuck with a shipment of smartphones from Asia, perfectly fine products, but a sudden Apple price drop in the US turned my inventory into dead weight. In 2 weeks, I went from profit to loss. Staring at a box of unsold phones in my tiny apartment, I learned a brutal lesson. In commerce, if you don't master product cycles and build a strong sales system, you're toast. The truth hit me, whether manufacturing or commerce, success hinges on feeling the market's pulse. You can't guess it from the sidelines, you've got to dive in, touch the cash flow, build relationships, and listen to customers. I'll never forget my first big rejection. I'd sunk all my capital into a wholesale deal, offering rock-bottom prices. I was sure I'd win the client. They passed. But Your product has no brand. No one knows you. That stung, but it taught me, commerce isn't just about price, it's about trust, built through time, experience, and reputation. As a newbie, you can't skip those steps. After that blow, I didn't quit. I negotiated, let me send you 10 units. If they sell you it. If not, I'll pick them up. They agreed. 3 days later, they called, send more. That was my second commerce lesson. Don't just sell, get customers to try your product. A year later, that client became my top distributor. What about manufacturing? I shadowed Sarah, a friend who ditched a corporate job to start a bamboo straw factory aimed at eco-conscious markets. Everyone called her crazy. Straws were a niche product, production was tricky, and raw materials were inconsistent. She spent months studying bamboo sourcing and manual processing, working for free to learn. 6 months in, a Japanese firm placed a trial order. By year 2, she had long-term contracts in Europe. Now, she's not just a dreamer, she's a niche market leader. Sarah told me something unforgettable. Manufacturing is like brewing whiskey. You can't rush it. You have to tend the fire just right, every day, for the flavor to come through. Both paths have a price. If you're low on capital, connections, or market know-how, commerce offers a way to learn without going broke. But if you can innovate, control processes, and stomach early cash flow struggles, manufacturing builds lasting value. I learned about cash flow the hard way, stuck for 3 months with no money. I was importing consumer goods from Thailand, shampoos, cosmetics, cheap stuff. Sales were great, but payments from distributors lagged. I'd sunk $10,000 into inventory, only to see $1,500 trickle back. Small debt snowballed, and I realized, businesses don't die from low profits, they die from no cash. A mentor in retail broke it down. Cash flow is a business's blood. His numbers showed it. $100,000 in working capital. Then there's fixed costs, the silent budget killer. I visited a canvas bag factory run by a young ex-marketer who'd invested $50,000 in industrial sewing machines and skilled labor. When eco-friendly bags were hot, orders poured in. But then the market cooled, events got canceled, and demand tanked. She still owed $1,500 a month for rent, $250 for utilities, and salaries for 7 full-time workers, $3,000 a month, even with no orders. She admitted, I thought about quitting, but I couldn't let go of the equipment. She borrowed more to keep going, trapped by fixed costs. Contrast that with a friend in commerce, importing phone accessories from China. His only fixed cost? A $150 per month storage unit. He hired a part-time assistant, paid by the hour. When sales slowed, he cut orders and cleared inventory. When demand spiked, he scaled up fast. His mantra? Commerce is like pool, you calculate the shortest path to pocket the ball. Manufacturing is like building a pool, you dig, tile, and fill it before you swim. But once it's built, it's yours. Commerce versus manufacturing. The breakdown. Commerce. Low capital, fast turnover, low fixed costs, easy to pivot. Downside? Thin margins, cutthroat competition. Manufacturing. High capital, slow turnover, high fixed costs, tough to exit. Upside? Higher margins, better control if you nail it. The real question isn't which is better. It's, what do you bring to the table, and how much risk can you handle? If you're agile, low on capital, and lack a sales network, commerce keeps you alive. If you've got a market, unique product, and can weather cash flow storms, manufacturing builds long-term value. The competitive jungle, 4 rivals to watch. Starting a business isn't a fair race. Beyond beating your own doubts, you face 4 types of competitors. 1. Market titans. Think Walmart or Amazon, big players with deep pockets, established brands, and supply chains. I once sold air fryers, moving hundreds monthly. Then a big box retailer entered, undercutting me by 20% with better marketing and warranties. My sales tanked 60% in weeks. Lesson? Don't fight giants head-on. Find a niche, like compact air fryers for singles, where they don't bother looking. 2. Price slashers. These folks sell for pennies of profit, no strategy, just low prices. I distributed eco-friendly straws, but Chinese knockoffs flooded the market at half my price. Customers jumped ship. In commerce, without differentiation, you're just a price tag. 3. Copycats. You launch a creative product, invest in branding and test markets. Then someone copies your packaging, tweaks your name, and undercuts you. I sold artisanal gift boxes one year. The next, clones popped up at half the price. Pioneers pay a price. Stay ahead by innovating constantly. 4. Fallen allies. The worst sting comes from those you trusted, old classmates, partners, or friends. I heard of a healthy meal startup whose founder shared recipes and suppliers with a friend, only for that friend to open a rival business across the street. Betrayal hurts, but it teaches you to guard your edge. Surviving the competition. You can't stop rivals, but you can outsmart them. Stand out. Differentiate with quality, branding, or a unique customer base, not just price. Build an ecosystem. Don't just sell products. Offer experiences, support, or services that keep customers loyal. Stay ahead. Innovate regularly in commerce or manufacturing to avoid becoming your own outdated version. Play the long game. Quick profits are great, but focus on systems, loyal customers, stable teams, reliable channels. Choosing your path. I learned the hard way that picking a business model isn't about ego, it's about what fits you. I jumped into manufacturing, dazzled by the hype of owning the supply chain. I borrowed cash, leased space, bought machines, and hired staff, despite zero factory experience. I couldn't manage workers, calculate depreciation, or handle cash flow gaps. One June afternoon, standing in a silent factory with idle machines and workers leaving early, I realized, not everyone is cut out for manufacturing. Startups aren't about who bets biggest, they're about who bets smartest. A friend stuck with commerce, distributing goods without producing them. He knew his customers, negotiated killer deals, and kept cash flowing. His margins were slim, but his flexibility was gold. I learned from him, shifting to commerce with a niche, high-end Japanese kitchen tools for young parents. I partnered with dropshippers, skipped big warehouses, and built a loyal community with minimal ad spend. Slowly, I carved out a stable, low-competition channel, and I could breathe again. The real question isn't manufacturing or commerce. It's, who are you? What are your strengths and weaknesses? Are you choosing a model that matches your reality? If you've got technical skills, a reliable team, and solid capital, manufacturing can yield high margins and brand control. If you're market-savvy, adaptable, and good at cash flow, commerce offers lower risk and faster scaling. I've seen friends chase trends, like opening Instagram-worthy cafes, only to crash because they lacked management skills. A simpler online coffee bean business might have suited them better. Passion alone isn't enough. Know yourself, strategize clearly, and commit to a model that fits. Don't pick a path for pride or impulse. Choose what keeps you alive, then aim big. Planning for success. I used to think business plans were for corporate giants. Then I crashed and learned. My first plan, scribbled at 2 a.m. on crumpled paper, wasn't fancy, just 5 questions. 1. What am I selling? 2. Who's buying it? 3. Where and how do they buy? 4. Where's my profit? 5. How do I avoid going broke? Simple, but brutal to answer. A young baker I met sold amazing cakes online but closed shop in 3 months. But she didn't account for shipping and refrigeration costs, losing money on every order. A solid plan would have saved her. For my kitchen tool business, I calculated $2 profit per unit, 50 daily sales, minus ads, shipping, support, and returns. Only with those numbers did I expand. Planning isn't about confidence, it's about avoiding delusion. Marketing and sales are where most startups fail, not for bad products, but for staying invisible. A mentor told me, people don't buy the best, they buy what they remember first. I wrote personal thank you notes with every order, posted authentic social media content, and made low-budget videos. Customers started referring friends. Marketing doesn't need millions, just consistency and heart. I also burned cash on ads without a sales funnel, losing customers as fast as they came. Then I built one, collecting emails, offering first buyer discounts, nurturing repeat customers and gifting loyal ones. Soon, I had steady orders without ads. Your plan doesn't need polish, just truth. Map your resources, goals, and steps. Plan for the worst so the best feels like a breeze. The road ahead. Entrepreneurship isn't a party, it's a grind of learning and falling. A clear plan keeps panic at bay. I haven't made it, but I've learned to win, know your game and your limits. Choose commerce or manufacturing with eyes wide open, not impulse. Write a plan, not for show, but to know you're moving, not drifting. Take Jake, a guy I worked with. He dreamed of a clean bottled water brand for urban markets. He went all in on manufacturing, borrowing heavily for a factory. Machines broke, materials failed, and cash got trapped in equipment. 6 months in, he was drowning in debt and shut down. But Jake didn't quit. He reflected, switched to commerce, and distributed water from trusted suppliers. He focused on networks and cash flow, rebuilding his brand. Years later, with stable capital, he's eyeing production again. His story proves, choosing a model isn't just about the industry, it's about survival at each stage. Don't fear failure, fear not learning from it. Ask, what can I do best with what I have? Start small, plan tight, and keep adapting. Whether manufacturing or commerce, success comes from knowing yourself, your market, and your plan. The journey's tough, but with grit and strategy, you'll go far. Ready for more? Let's talk about outsmarting competitors and carving your edge.